Good afternoon, everybody. This is Joy Lasheray, and I have with us today Virgil Brown. Hi, Virgil.
Hello.
I heard you're going to play for us today.
Oh yeah, I've got my guitar and my dad's banjo and play some
Okay,
songs.
well, we're looking forward to that. And I'd like to give a shout out to my sponsor before we start the interview with Virgil. I'm Mature Musician is sponsored by Luscious Moss Studio. It's owned and operated by Chad Christ out of Edgewood, Washington. And he does create an environment that's both collaborative and stimulates creative ideas. And he does some of my music, but he is primarily set up for drummers and guitarists. With that being said, if you need to find him, you go to Facebook and look up Luscious Moss Studio or Chad Christ. Thank you very much. And with that, Virgil, how did you get into this music business, if I may ask?
It all started with this thing right here. My dad's banjo.
Banjo. Not my favorite instrument.
The old harmony from Sears.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he started us all on a musical path. He went in the 50s, he was a college student and he fell in with some folk singers.
Yeah. Got caught, right?
Yeah, the bad folk singer thing. Anyway, he decided he wanted to be a folk singer and my mom too. So he went down to Sears and bought a harmony banjo, and he bought a Pete Seeger How to Play Banjo record. And he started teaching himself. He had 3 little babies, I was the baby. And, my sisters were 4 and 6 or something like that when he and then he'd leave the banjo laying around, and next thing you know, I'd be grabbing for it and trying to learn how to play it. And I never did get very good, but
if you're playing it out there, you got to be good enough to play it out for people. So
yeah, I couldn't do a Foggy Mountain break.
Yeah,
deliverance or
no deliverance. I do want to tell people that we are having some freezing on this computer, and there's a reason for that. Virgil is in Sedona, Arizona. It's 91 degrees there today, and there was a lightning storm that knocked out his power. So the signal that he's getting may not be as strong as it normally is, but we're glad he was here with us. So when you picked up the, no problem. It happens. It's electronics. So when did you first, how old were you when you picked up that banjo and started playing, and where did you go from there?
Oh, I was probably 5 or 6 or something. And then,
that big old banjo, you were able to hold that?
Yeah, it's really light. But anyway, then came band in school, had to play the trumpet, give myself a headache and get my lips all swollen up big and red. And then when I got to be 10, 11, 12 in that region there, I picked up Mom's guitar and started playing guitar. And that's kind of when I started getting serious.
What kind of guitar did your mom have?
I think it was also a harmony. It's long gone, unfortunately.
Long gone. Yeah. So you took did you say trumpet and
trumpet? Yeah. At the time we lived in Milwaukee, and I took trumpet lessons at the Conservatory of Music there in Milwaukee, and boy, did I ever hate it.
You had to learn how to read music, correct?
Well, you'd think that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. No?
But if you give me a week, I could probably read the Lamb, but on the sheet music, but I'm not much of a sheet music reader.
A lot of musicians aren't, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You need both. Sometimes I have to resort to picking out a tune on my piano, not piano, but my keyboard, just to make sure that I know I'm doing the right thing. But most of the musicians I know do not read music unless they've had formal training. So
Yeah, well, the old joke is how do you get a guitar player to stop playing? Put a piece of music
oh,
in front of them.
put a what? It froze. You
Piece of sheet
froze.
music in front of them.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I get that. I have a unique way of giving my people music. I have the guy that produces my music do charts, and he puts a
yeah,
key on it, and then the chords and how many beats it gets, etc. It's easier
yeah,
to read a chart.
yeah. Well, I'm playing in Bellevue at Bake's place on the Friday the 13th next month in October,
Oh,
and I'm
that's a
playing with
good
some
day.
fellas who they're all fantastic players, and the violinist and the bass player. The violinist is Julian Smedley, and the bass player is Dean Schmidt, and they're
Yeah,
going to be writing up a whole book full of charts for the other guys. So
right. So, do you know what a chart is? Do you know the national numbering
yeah,
system? Or yeah,
I do. In fact, I studied music theory in college after high school, and I did very well in it. And that was probably the greatest thing I took away from it was numerical, the chords and all that. It's really helped me
yeah,
out over the years.
yeah. So, when was your first um, playing out in front of people? Did you have some kind of uh, gig got with the school band, or how did that work?
Oh, well, yeah, there was always the school concerts, but I couldn't tell you a thing about them. What the first thing that happened for me of any significance was um, we moved to Canada right around 1969. Actually, the to the moon, we crossed the border into Canada, and
Hmm.
we moved around a few places up there, and ended up on Vancouver Island. And when I was a young fella, I would play at a thing called the Coombs Country Opera in a little tiny town called Coombs, Coombs, and it was great. It was an old community hall, and you'd
Yeah,
show up
yeah.
there, and it would just be packed, and the windows would be dripping with condensation from all the people in there, and cigarette
Oh,
smoke, and the 4-H club would serve coffee and tea, and then you'd sign up with this old guy Joe, and he'd tell you when you were going on. And my folks used to take me down there, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a real thrill for me the first time. Wow, have a big crowd.
yeah.
Yeah,
Did you have
they
nerves?
were very very supportive, and it was a real good time.
Did you have stage fright at all?
I got a little lucky. Not like a maniac, I'm great. I was kind of fearless. I just went up there and I did it. Yeah, there was probably some butterflies, but you know,
How old
I
do you
was
think you
eager
were at
to
the
to
time?
do it.
Yeah.
How
How old
old
were
was
you at?
I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was about 14, maybe 15.
Oh, from there, where did you go? What happened after high school?
Yeah, so I did some playing in high school too that was kind of significant. I played for a couple of big assemblies. I had this where I was playing really bags, and we had a string. I think I might have disappeared there for a minute. Sorry.
Yeah, you
We
are.
had a
You're
string
cutting
rigged
out.
up to the belt on my. Hmm, I
Uh,
wonder if I should
Virgil,
should I
we're
go
how
turn off
far away?
every. house.
How far away are you from are you on a phone? Are you on a cell or a computer?
No, I'm in my friend's house,
Yeah.
and they
Where,
have.
how far away from their box are you? Uh, modem, the modem.
Oh, I could find out. You want me to go find
Yeah.
out?
Because we're getting an awful lot of cutouts, so I can't hear what you're saying.
Yeah, that's no good. Um, I'll go talk to them. We'll start over then.
Sure. We'll just wait for you here.
Okay.
All right. So while he's trying to figure out why he's getting cut off so much in his system, I was just looking at my calendar to try to figure out who we're going to have on here next. And on the 18th, I have Christopher Martin. He will be our guest. And on the 25th, I have somebody most of you will recognize, Sandra Rita Don Lopez, bass player and part owner of Sounds. She will be with us in October. Um, okay, he's back. All right. Where did you figure out what it might be, or
Um, I think maybe by opening the door, I might have helped my boss.
closing the door on the signal? Okay.
Yeah.
So I was asking you about after high school what you were doing, and we couldn't hear your
Oh
response.
yeah, I was telling you a story about in high school. I played in assembly, and we had rigged up a string to the belt on my pants so that while I was playing, my pants would fall down, and I was wearing red boxers with white polka dots, and everyone got a big laugh out of it. That was the kind of hijinks I was up to back then. And then after high school, I was a logger for a while and a fisherman, and I did a bunch of stuff and ended up in Vancouver, where instead of going to college like I had all planned out, I joined a band that I was the only one in the band who wasn't an ex-con.
Oh
And
no.
it was called the Honky Band. But I played with those guys, and I ended up playing country music a bit as a lead guitarist and pedal steel guitar player.
All right.
Did that
So
in the
how many
lower.
instruments do you play? You play the banjo, the guitar, the steel.
Yeah, I play the steel a little bit, but I don't have one anymore. I
Oh,
decided to leave that to the experts.
yeah.
I'm mainly a guitarist. That's pretty much.
Okay.
I do a lot of keyboard stuff when I program songs or
Right.
record.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't call me a keyboard player.
So after your con band, and I skipped, of course, it froze, so I couldn't hear the name of it. What was the name of that band again?
Honky Tonk Heroes.
What was it again? Sorry.
The Honky Tonk Heroes.
Honky Tonk Heroes. Well, that's
Honky
quite
Tonk.
an interesting for cons, ex-cons.
Yeah.
So where did you go from there? How long
Well,
did you
then
stay with them, do you think?
I was with them more than a year, and then I started getting calls from other bands to go on the road with them, and I went out and was a road hog for a while, just playing all over. Ended up on and started playing the clubs and things down there, and mainly in rock and roll and rockabilly bands and surf instrumental bands and things like that.
All right. So what would you say genre that your music fits? Since it's just, I had a hard time trying
Yeah,
to
it
put.
doesn't. I don't have one genre. I'm country. I'm folky, rootsy, bluesy, poppy, rocky.
Yeah.
My last album, which is called Almost Famous in Alberta and Other True Stories, it's mainly acoustic with some violin and drums and bass, and sometimes just acoustic and violin.
Now
And
you play the violin.
No, no, no.
No.
My friend,
Okay.
I have various friends that played on it. On the latest album, there's a guy named Riley Calcagno who plays violin on it, and he's really doing well. It's Vivian and Riley. They have several really excellent albums out right now,
All
and
right.
they're really rising fast. He's a fantastic player. Grew up on Beacon Hill, and he was a child prodigy. So,
So, and you're playing lead. You play the lead parts to your music.
what's that?
Are you playing the lead parts? Are you consider yourself a lead?
Oh,
Or
I certainly logged many years playing lead, yeah. But I sort of lean away from lead guitar as a motif in which to express myself. I think everything's been said in that,
yeah,
and very rarely will I play a lead part. But when I go out and play gigs, of course, I got to play lead.
yeah, I get it. So, do you have a band right now that you? I know you've been touring, but do you have a band that you play with regularly
No,
in Sedona area or up here?
no, I don't. It's almost impossible to make a living with a band. And it's literally impossible to tour with a band unless you're all living in the same Ford Econoline and eating SpaghettiOs. Uh, but I have a group of guys I play with in Seattle. Some real, you know, the try and
We,
get gigs up there. I call
you
them,
cut
and
out.
if I'm
I'm
lucky, they're
sorry.
available. And that's what's
Yeah,
happened.
you cut out Virgil, so I didn't hear who
So,
you were playing with up in Seattle.
so I go to Seattle with some guys who are just all around excellent. And so if they're available when I'm going to play up there, then I'll go play there. But generally, I
Yeah.
stay away from bands. They're lots of trouble.
Yeah. So
I love them. I love them.
I
Boy, it's a possible thing to manage and make money with.
so basically, what are you doing then? If you're not with a band, are you doing solo gigs?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
forte? Okay. And somewhere along the line, you've also written a book. Is that correct?
I did. I wrote a book. I wrote a book 2 Januaries ago. I started,
And it's
and
been published.
yeah, it's available on Amazon.
Okay.
It's also called Almost Famous in Alberta and Other True Stories. And it's a memoir, 35 short stories from my life, a lot of really wacky things that went on, and
Yeah,
a lot
I've
of
got
stuff about family and, that kind of thing.
yeah, I've got one. You got a story about music?
Uh,
You share with us today?
yes, I do actually, yes.
Okay.
Um, so I was playing in Vancouver, based out of Vancouver. I got picked up as a substitute playing lead guitar and pedal steel for a group out of Victoria called Homebrew. And their big deal was they were going to end up at the Calgary Stampede, and they were going to be the backup band for a guy named what the heck was that guy's name? They call him the Canadian Johnny Cash. I'll space on it for a minute here, but and so we toured all over Alberta, and we were going to end up at the Calgary Stampede playing for this guy, and I didn't know. In fact, I was never going to the Calgary Stampede. Their regular guitar player would come in right at the last minute and play that gig. But when I was way up north in a town way up Grand Prairie, Alberta, the band leader came in with some really corny polyester suits, and he laid one on the bed and he said, "This is your new outfit," and it had a V-neck open shirt made of maroon silk and a gray vest and gray polyester bell bottoms,
Oh,
and the shirt had big puffy buccaneer sleeves. And that said that
you
did
cut out on
wear
me.
that. Thank you.
You cut out on me, so I
Oh,
didn't get the rest of that story.
oh, well, he told me that was my new outfit, and that I told him I would never wear it, and then he fired me, and I thanked him, and he paid me all the money he owed me, and I drove away quite happy. And in the end, the guy's name they were going to be the backup band for at the Calgary Stampede was Ronnie Prophet. He had his own TV show up in Canada for years, and he was, according to them, the Canadian Johnny Cash. But I think we all know there's only one Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
And so he got to that gig, and the guy wouldn't let him on the stage. He was forced to play tambourine behind the curtain.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Why?
and then
I don't understand why.
why? Because the Ronnie Prophet, the Canadian Johnny Cash, just didn't like the cut of his jib, I guess. But yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh.
anyway, many years later, I was telling that story to a reporter in Edmonton named Peter North, who was writing an article about me for the Edmonton Journal, and he really liked that story. So he wrote this beautiful article. It's on my website, and he mentioned that story, and that was kind of ironic too. Years later, that I'd be in Edmonton and be getting interviewed, and that story would be what caught the guy's attention. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So, what is your website? I know I went to it, and can you tell the folks out there how they can hear that story
Sure.
on your website?
Yeah, it's www.virgilbrownmusic.com.
All right.
I used
So
to
I
have I
go
used to
ahead.
have the virgilbrown.com thing, but I didn't know you had to, way back in the day when websites first came out, I didn't know you had to like somehow keep control of it, and I lost that. So now it's virgilbrownmusic.com.
Oh, so you have two sites. One is www. Oh,
I just confused you. Sorry.
yeah.
It's
You
Virgil.
did.
It's
I'm old.
www.virgilbrownmusic.com.
Okay. All right. So I understand that you did some things while you were experiencing a COVID. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, episode in our lives.
Well,
And can you
at the time COVID hit, I was driving Uber and Lyft in Seattle, and I had one kid left at home with me, my teenage boy Wes, and he was going to Shorecrest High School, and then COVID hit, and suddenly I didn't have a job, and so I was invited to move to Tucson and live with my cousin Bill, and Wes wanted to stay in Seattle, so he did. And I came down to Tucson and lived there for a while, and then made my way up to Sedona a couple months later. And I've been here ever since. But when I was in Tucson, I recorded a whole album of acoustic songs. They have a beautiful studio there called Jim Brady's Studio.
wow.
And Jim has some 1950s Neumann U87 tube microphones.
Huh.
And that studio has seen people like Linda Ronstadt and Neil Young and, Emmylou Harris and stuff. It's a
Right.
beautiful studio. So I got some nice recordings out of there. And I wrote a bunch of songs during COVID, of course, like everyone.
I got a comment. I understand that you know Courtney.
I do know Courtney, yeah.
She left a message. She says, "Hey, you two, here for a few. We'll have to watch full episode later today, Courtney."
I love Courtney. She's so great. She does a lot of my graphics for me.
Yes.
She did my album cover and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, she recommended you to me. That's how I found you.
Yeah, and she recommended you to me.
Yeah.
So that's how I found you.
And here we are. Yeah, she does my website and
Yeah,
graphics and
she's on Facebook, Courtney Prather. She's wonderful.
yes,
Easy.
Prathur.
Yeah.
So on that, regarding this book, before we get into COVID, How in the world did that idea get started? What was the reason for writing your book, Almost
Oh, for writing
Famous?
the book. Yeah, so it was New Year's Day, and um, you know, I'm an empty nester now, and
Yeah.
I woke up and I just started having all these thoughts and feelings and about my folks. And I just watched a really great YouTube video of John Prine.
Oh,
It's called
yeah. Yeah.
it's called House of Strombo, John Prine, and Strombo, Strombo, House of Strombo. It's run by a guy named George Strombolopoulos, who's used to be a VJ on Much Music up in Canada, and now does all kinds of media, and he hosts significant house concerts like John Prine.
Cool.
And
All right.
during this house concert with John Prine, it was filmed in this guy's house in Toronto, and Gordon Lightfoot was in the audience. And
Cool.
so Gordon Lightfoot was a huge influence on me when I moved to Canada as a kid. Anyway, so I was watching it, and it's a beautiful performance. And he talks about how he wrote the songs, and he had a bunch of funny stories. But kind of, you know, get out there and do something. But I realized that nobody really knew my story. And, you can't sit around feeling bad that nobody knows anything about you if you don't do something about people knowing something about you. So I was really inspired, and I don't type at all. I like one word a minute. So
My
I
husband's like
end
that.
up, I end, I ended up doing voice to text in my iPhone, and then I airdropped it over to my MacBook, and then I would edit it there.
Huh.
And so, initially I puked out about 400 pages in a couple months, and
Oh,
I did. I hired a professional editor, and then worked on it for probably more than a year, and then suddenly it was done, and I published it on Amazon. I looked around at finding publishers and stuff, but there's quite a long, lengthy procedure, and if you're lucky enough to get published by an established publisher, it's not
right.
going to happen overnight. And at my age, I'm not going to wait around for somebody to say yes or no about something. I got to get moving because there's two guys following me with shovels. So
I just one guy with a sickle.
yeah,
He's
right.
trying to
He's always
organize. Yeah,
there.
that's me.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
hear you.
So I just
Yeah,
decided to publish it myself on Amazon, which was really easy. And I'm not a huge Amazon fan. I think they kind of ruined Seattle in many ways, but
yeah.
I won't I won't go there. I remember it used to be quite a quaint little town. I used to run a coffee shop downtown, and these guys kept coming in there, and they'd say, "Yeah, we're going to sell books on the internet." And I said, "What's the internet?" Anyway, it turns out they were the first Amazonians, and they were coming to my coffee shop. So I don't hold any grudges. I'm quite happy to be publishing my book on Amazon. They made it very, very easy, and it's been selling nicely. And it's great to be able to say, "Yeah, you can get my book today."
Yeah.
So
Well, that
yeah,
is great. I like that story. Yeah, that's
yeah,
one of the reasons why I created Matured Musicians was because it's so difficult for artists to talk to all the people that are there listening to them. And they
yeah.
don't know beans about you unless there's, I mean, they know your bio,
Right.
but they don't really know what you're about. And I thought this was a good way to introduce the new artists that were coming out, and some of the more established artists, and exchange some ideas and thoughts through interview. And it's been going on for about 2 years now.
I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
My
Well,
friend
it's getting up
whose
that
internet connection I'm using asked, he asked me why I would be on a show called Mature Musicians, but because I'm not very mature in his
Well,
eyes.
no, yeah, everybody loves. I haven't changed the name because it's been thrown around so much and joked about. But when I was
Yeah,
trying to think of a name, I bounced a lot of them around. But it started out with the idea that I was going to be interviewing. The bulk of the interviews would be people who've been out there for a while. People that are music has matured. But
mhm.
as I started getting into it, I realized there are young people out there whose music is matured and they're maybe 18 years old or 24 years old or, younger than what we consider, 50s and up. And
Yeah,
so now it stands for more for the music, the maturity of the music. So,
yeah.
yeah. And,
Well,
and
I'm
I,
assuming.
I could change the name, but I just don't want to because everybody has a joke about it. Skip, go ahead.
Well, I'm assuming that old geezer's music was already taken.
Since I'm an old geezer, I wasn't going to do that. No, 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 no. No, you're not an old geezer. You're only as old as you feel inside. Some
Oh
people
gosh,
that's 120. What?
I hope I'm not that old.
Well, speaking of moving beyond the book, uh, we had brought up the idea of COVID and what you might have been doing that period of time.
Yeah, so I was uh, initially I was living in Tucson with my cousin Billy, and recording at that studio, Jim Brady
Yeah.
studio in Tucson.
Yes.
Um, I got to, I finally had some time to work on stuff, and got to finish up a bunch of songs and write some brand new ones. And
Right.
I play in an open tuning on my guitar,
Mhm.
so I spent a lot of time just honing my skills. When you're busy working all the time and
Yes. Yeah.
raising
Yes.
a family
Right.
and stuff, you don't
Yes.
get all the time you want to play. So all of a sudden I had time to practice and it was just wonderful. So things that had been sort of held in check for years
Right.
just started flowing out.
I got the feeling because I did that too. And then I thought, what the heck? I had a song and I thought, well, yeah, I was kind of urged by this online place that was called Happy Hour, Honky Tonk Happy Hour by Jessica Lynn Whitty, who's a singer-songwriter. And they were urging me to write. And so I wrote my first song. And 10 songs later, I'm still writing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what
So,
it takes. You just
yeah.
keep chugging away.
That's when it started. I figure I could just sit here and do absolutely nothing and go nuts, or I could grab that guitar and go nuts that way.
Yeah, that's a good way to go nuts.
So I understand you're going to play for us. Would you like to take that, what's it, guitar and banjo and play? Oh no, you froze.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you betcha.
Okay.
I
So
froze.
we might freeze. So I don't know how much we're going to get out of this, but I'm going to disappear.
Well,
You can't see me, but I can see and hear you. All right, go ahead.
okay. All right. Well, I thought I'd start with a little bit of banjo music because my my dad he played the banjo when I was a little kid, and he was a big Pete Seeger fan. And Pete Seeger had a really great song that was out when we were all kids, and it was called "Where Have All the Flowers Gone." Where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone? Gone to young girls, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the time passing. Where have all the young girls gone? Long time ago. Where have all the young girls gone? Gone to young men, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the young men gone? Long time passing. Where have all the young men gone? Long time ago. Where have all the young men gone? Gone to soldiers, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the soldiers gone? Gone to graveyards, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time passing. Where have all the graveyards gone? Long time ago. Where have all the graveyards gone? Gone to flowers, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn?
Bravo. You know what? That was the first song I ever learned on the guitar.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It was a big deal at our house. Not only was it a folk song, but Pete Seeger wrote it, and you could play it on the banjo. And
oh, cool.
Our whole family used to sit around and sing protest songs, and where the anti-war movement met.
I had a hammer.
Yeah, If I Had a Hammer, and then
Dylan.
Oh man, yeah, for sure. And We Shall Overcome.
Yeah.
And Blowing in the Wind.
Yes.
All that stuff. Yeah.
Those were the times. When you play out, what kind of gigs do you get? I mean, places that you go. And do you tour up to Seattle often or occasionally, or how does that work? What do you do?
This will be the first time I've played Seattle since COVID. And I'll be at Bake's Place October 13th, Friday the 13th.
Where's that at? What
Bake's
city?
Place is in Bellevue. Have you never been? It's quite amazing.
No. What?
And you live in Redmond.
Yeah.
I
don't get in there. Too much traffic and not enough parking.
Well, it doesn't start till later. So they have underground parking too. So
and this is
can get validated.
Can you spell that place? Bakes?
Yep.
Oh,
Bake's Place. Yeah. It's named after a guy named Craig Baker. And he's just a great guy. He and his wife have a wonderful place. And it's the nicest show lounge restaurant thing. I mean, it's like the olden days, like from the 50s or something.
Oh, I got to find this place. I'm definitely going to look for it. I know. I know there's a band called Eagle Eyes out of Canada that comes down somewhere in Bellevue. I don't know if that's the place or
they
not.
do the Eagles tribute, right?
Yeah.
That's the Bake's Place. Yeah.
That's Bake's. Okay. Well, when are you going to be there?
Friday 13th, October 13th.
October 13th. Well, I'll have to put that on my calendar because
I hope to see you. It's going to be a great band. I have Ron Weinstein on the Hammond B3 organ. He's one of the greats. Dean Schmidt on bass, arguably in the top 3 jazz bass players in Seattle. Julian Smedley on violin. He's just a genius. He arranges strings for some of my recordings. He's just a phenomenal player, unbelievable. And a guy named Steve Goodwin on drums.
I don't know any of these people.
And then I'll be playing a number of different guitars, and I think my son Samuel's going to come and sing some duets with me just before the band starts. So
Sounds like my roof is falling in. I think the pine cones, the squirrel must be having a ball throwing pine cones on my roof. Anyway, well, that sounds great. I'll have to put that down. What time did this start?
well, it's a dinner place, so you go there and you have some dinner, and then we start up at 9, and
Okay.
we go. It's a single 90-minute set, and yeah, so it's good to get reservations. I know there'll be a lot of family there, and they have a lot of their regulars that go out on their mailing list. So if you go to the Bakes Place website, they have a reservations page,
Okay.
and it's a good idea to do that. Or if you don't feel like doing that or committing to all that, you can show up and go in the bar area. There's a stand-up bar thing there. And,
Okay. Great.
yeah.
Well, I'm going to have to go there and figure out what's up.
Yeah.
And I'll go there on October 13th if I
I
can.
hope you do.
Yes.
Then
Is that
2
what
days,
day is that? What day is it? A Saturday or a Sunday or weekday?
Friday the 13th. Friday the
Oh, that's right. You mentioned that. Oh, they see how well I listen, or at least remember.
Yeah,
Friday the
I
13th.
hope it's not a nightmare.
Well, it's almost Halloween. You never know it's going to pop out on the 13th.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, anyway. So of all the things, we're about ready to go into your other gigs to where you're going from here. So that was a good segue into it. I've been posting the things that you've been putting online on Matured Musicians. So that might be good to see that as a way of introducing you. And
Thank
this
you.
is also being recorded. You're welcome. It's being recorded on YouTube. And though we don't have a lot of listeners today, probably um, I have no clue why, but they're not showing up or they're showing up but they're not. I can't see them. I'm not visible. They're not visible. But after the interview, people watch them when they get home from work, etc. So
Yeah.
I'll keep you posted on that, and then I'll send you the link to YouTube so that you can see that people have been watching you there. And a lot of it is they don't know you here in this area. The people, at least the local people that are listening to my program, don't know you exist. And I didn't know you existed until Courtney gave me your name. So then I started researching you, and I thought, oh, yeah, we got to have this guy.
That's one of the earmarks of my career.
Oh, yeah, right. That's why you wrote a book, right? All right. So where are you going from here? The 13th, Friday the 13th, easy to remember, at Bakes, Bakes, in Place and Bellevue.
Then the following Sunday, 2 days later.
PM.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I haven't booked a 9 a.m. gig yet, but anything's possible.
Oh, I don't think there is a 9 a.m. in my life.
Not for my voice. So 2 days later, on the 15th, I'm in Snohomish at Tim Noah's Thumbnail Theater, which is
I know where that is. We go to Snohomish every Tuesday to jam at the Oxford.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You probably know my old bandmate, Rick Jacobson, who used to be in the Wired band.
I don't. I know a lot of people by face and they're singing, but then when you ask me a name, it's like, yeah, what?
Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, I play up there, and Rick and Keith from the Wired band will be there, and my friend Hugh Sutton will be playing keyboards that night. Yeah, it'll be a good little band for sure. And the same guys I play with at Bakes Place will be there as well. So it's going to be a good.
What kind of music are you playing? Are you playing a variety of these songs?
Yeah.
Kind of like the things that you're just singing, or?
Well, no, I mean, I thought I would be playing a couple songs, or I wouldn't have played a Pete Seeger song. I mean, I love Pete Seeger, but you know, I'm not out playing Pete Seeger songs for a living. I write I write my own material, and
Mm.
we'll be we'll be largely basing the night on my current album, Almost Famous in Alberta.
Okay,
Which
great. That'd be worth
everyone
seeing.
everyone who doesn't know me can go to my website right now and download that album for free. So that's a pretty
Is
good
that
deal.
is, did I have to download something? I know you said something about it to me, but just went right over my head.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you have the album?
No, but I get it. I'd like to get it.
Yeah.
I go to Amazon, right?
No, that's the book.
Oh,
Well, actually, you could get my album on Amazon too. I'm on
yeah, they sell my music there.
Amazon and Spotify and
Yeah,
Apple Music and all those things.
yeah.
But
I did a reel on Facebook. You can do what's called a reel, and I
mhm,
put it out there, and people get it on their phones. It comes into their cell. And it was one of your songs that you were singing in it, but it was a cover. No, I can't remember which one it was, but I put that out there.
was it "If You Could Read My Mind" by
I
Gordon
think
Lake?
it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one with the the string quartet backing me up.
Yeah.
That my friend Julia
Nice.
wrote the
Nice.
music for, which is pretty cool.
So are you now you're coming up for Sedona. Do you stay here then? Since you have a couple of gigs, do you stay during
I
this
have
time that you're
some of
doing it?
my kids are up there, and my sister and her husband live there.
Oh, okay.
So after I play Snohomish, then I'm going to Vancouver Island,
Oh,
and
yes.
that's where I went to high school. And I'm going to play my old high school hometown, Port Alberni, and then I've got some house concerts across British Columbia, and I'm going to end up in Alberta, where I have some gigs up there too.
Now, how did you get into that scene, the Canadian scene?
Well, I'm Canadian, so
Oh,
you know, I
was
moved down here in '81.
oh,
Um, yeah. So yeah, and up to Seattle, I'm playing some wineries and stuff up in Idaho and Washington. It's all on my website under
okay.
shows.
All right. I'll look for that.
Yeah.
And I suggest that people are listening, do that too if you're interested in listening to what he has. It's
Yeah.
quite interesting. I think you'll like it. So, of all the times that you've played out there, uh, what was the worst thing that ever happened to you?
Oh my God. The worst thing ever. Oh, here's the worst thing. Yeah. I traveled
I throw
from
trick questions in.
Bend. But yeah, I traveled from Vancouver to Prince George, which is, back in those days, it was I think it was like a 15-hour drive or something. I can't quite remember. But it was a long drive. And I was in that band, the Honky Tonk Heroes, who they were
Ex-cons.
all ex-cons. And one of them, the bass player brought his brother, who was a real bad seed. He was bad. And we were setting up at the club. We finally got there after driving all day, and we were setting up at the club, and the bass player's brother started mouthing off to the club owner. And before we were done setting up, we were fired.
Oh, no. Short-lived.
We had to ride with that guy in the van all the way back to Vancouver.
Oh, no.
That was fun.
Did you learn some new swear words?
I was fully stocked up by the end of that trip.
Life has its little kinks. What was the best time? What time when you were out there, or many times, where you said, yeah, this is the right thing for me. I may not ever make a living on it, but I know I'm doing the right thing by sharing my music.
Well, quite recently, I was just reminded of that. I played a concert here in the Sedona area at a place, Camp Virgil. And I didn't really know what it was going to be, but I was invited to go play in a 3-songwriter sort of circle. You play one song, then the other person plays one.
Yeah, I love those.
When I got there, when I got there, the place was packed full of really intense music lovers and people who would not talk or look at their phones or anything. They were just listening. And the response was really touching and overwhelming. So it was great. And I
Yeah.
was reminded once again
Yeah, you
why
did
I
the
do
right
it.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, your father was probably right and pushing you in that direction.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I told him I was going to be a musician, he wasn't overly thrilled. I think,
You don't get
I
rich
think,
doing it.
I think he said something along the lines of, well, all right. you know,
It sounds like you did work a lot of jobs, and I'm assuming you had a family.
after, you mean like, did I raise a family?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
That
not only did
somewhere in
I,
that whole trip, that whole journey to where you are now, you probably
yeah,
had a family at
I have,
some point.
I have 4 kids and one
Wow.
grandchild. So,
How old is your grandchild?
she turned 1 in April.
Oh, they're so cute at that age.
And she calls me Dampa, and I love it.
Do you miss Canada?
I do, yeah. I love Canada.
Well, I understand Sedona, Arizona is a place where they made a lot of Western movies. Is that correct? This is
They did,
Sedona.
yeah. Jimmy Stewart had a pretty famous one called Broken Arrow,
I
and
watched that. I know there was there's somebody named Deborah Carr in that one.
no, it's a cowboy Indian thing, and
Yeah.
there's nothing politically correct about it. It's just it's dreadful, but you get to see what the if a lot of the movie stars would come here from Hollywood
Yeah.
to relax. Lucille Ball had a place here, and
Yeah.
Zane Grey wrote his first book here. It's kind of a
I did not
Western.
know that. No. Well, I went to the only thing I wanted to see, I saw a lot. I mean, from one end of the state to the other in 9 days or 10 days, whatever we had there. And it was cold. It was as cold when I was in Benson, but down by Tombstone, it was as cold as it was here. We woke up in the morning and there was snow on the palm trees. So I'm like, hey, I left there to get warm, and now I'm just as cold. I
Sometimes
traveled
it's
on.
called an Arctic
It's,
clipper.
oh, really? Is that what it was?
Yeah,
Well, could have gone back where it came from.
yeah,
I
yeah.
did get to Tombstone and I wrote a song. I don't know if you've ever been there, but I was sitting on that road that goes through town.
Yeah.
And these guys with their long black vests and hats, and were walking down the street for their performance later on.
Yeah.
And I was sitting outside of the movie theater because you can watch the movie first. And there was a tie-up that there were a long line of people, and I can't stand that long. And so I was sitting there, and all of a sudden this vision came to me, and I wrote a song called The Ghost of Tombstone.
Oh, you're going to play
Yeah.
it for us?
Oh, no, it's on my website. My website is www.joyannelacheret.com, and it's Lajeret. You can
Oh, I
see
know
it
you.
in my message. Yeah,
Yeah, I've seen it on your
joyannelacheret.com.
page.
Yeah. And so I wrote that song, and I'm seeing a person coming through the city, getting off their horse, walking to the Birdcage Saloon, theater now, but apparently it was quite a place. And he gets in there and he goes down at the gambling table and he comes back out, and there's a shooting in the interim, and I'm seeing all this, and when I go out the back door, which is now a bookshop, it all comes back to normal. But in the meantime, I was actually living this experience about this gunfighter going in there, and nobody knew who he was, but they all knew what he did. He was a killer. I mean, they didn't know if he was a law or an outlaw. It was just kind of a cute little song. Maybe sometime you'll hear it.
Pretty good at putting on those Western shows down here. I
Yeah.
saw one recently. It was pretty funny.
Well, I love
I
that
like
movie, Tombstone. I like the old one and I like the new one. So That's a great place,
My new songs are
Arizona.
old ones. The new one's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it is. So, well, we're getting real close to our time. Um, where do you see yourself? This is probably not the best question to ask, but I do ask it. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years if God grants you that much time on earth? Where do you what have you probably left in your bucket list that you'd like to do as well?
Oh, well, my bucket list. Yeah, I don't know about that, but I'm gonna keep trying to play and do some touring, and I'd like to get over to Europe and play in
Ah,
Europe.
yes.
That'd be my favorite thing if it happened. I played there on the streets when I was younger, loved it. But yeah, I'm gonna keep trying. Probably write another book and keep
Cool.
playing and writing songs.
All right.
Would
Well,
you mind if we have 4 minutes left if I finished by playing a song of my
oh,
my song?
absolutely not. You go right ahead.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Thank
Okay,
you.
I'm removing me.
Oops, it went out of tune. That's no good. We don't need an out of tune guitar. Give me 1 second here. Sorry.
Ladies and gentlemen, this song is called Tuning.
Yes. Okay, there we go. Do you believe in gold? I live with the ghost of you most every day. It's been years and tears since you went away. But we no room for gray. When it finally dawned on me, every time I want you, you're never there. Every time I need you, you still don't care. Every time I want you, you're never there. Every time I need you, honey, you still don't care. I've always been one who's slow to learn. I never had my lessons in on time. There's no fire brigade for bridges burned. When you finally figured out the riddle didn't rhyme. When it finally dawned on me, every time I want you, you're never there. Every time I need you, honey, you still don't care. Every time I want you, you're never there. Every time I need you, honey, you still don't care.
All right. Another song about ghosts. Did you write that here or there or in Canada?
I wrote this song when I got to Sedona. Yeah, just
Right.
popped up with me. One of the vortexes pulled it out of my head, I guess.
Yeah, there's a lot of ghost stories there, isn't there?
Yeah.
So, with that, I thank you for playing for us today and interviewing. I'm glad that we had this time together. Thank you,
Pleasure.
Courtney, for allowing this by introducing us to Virgil here.
Well,
So,
thank
with
you.
that, you're welcome.
Thanks, Joyanne.
I will be sending you the link for YouTube. You can put in your EPK or however you want to do it. Send it to your friends, whatever. I apologize to people out there. There was some kinks. His tower was, I believe it was your tower, right? Your phone tower that was hit by lightning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so our connection wasn't the strongest today, but I do want to thank you again. And we got through it in spite of that. So good luck. I hope to see you on the 13th, Good Friday in October.
Thank you.
And
I'll glad to see you.
all right. Well, you take care and have a good journey until we see you
All right.
later. And hopefully you'll come back sometime.
Thanks, Joyanne.
You're
Bye-bye.
welcome. Bye-bye. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed his music. I find Virgil to be a very interesting man. And what we heard today was just a small part of his journey. But I hope you do look at his website and download his book. And in the meantime, you have a good rest of your week. And I will see you Monday at 2 o'clock next week. Thank you. Goodbye, everybody.